Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Okay, perfect. So I'm just gonna record this. I'm glad to have you on voice,
Yeah,
and I'm just a quick summary. It's I posted on Twitter if anybody wants to needs help one on one, and here I am with a guy that has so much love and passion that he got accepted into SMB internship, and he's asking questions. So I this is a I am excited as much as you
yeah,
are, probably more, because I could see that you have so much love and passion enough that you just finish your school and you have gone to apply for an internship. So
yep.
okay, perfect. So let's get started. How long have you been trading for? What's your thought process? What are your main issues or anything you want to mention about yourself? Feel free.
Yeah, I've been trading for nearly about a year now, probably like
Okay.
May last year. I was mostly focused on mid to large caps, but then recently I ended up actually switching brokers, and so I started trying some small cap trading,
Mm,
and that's kind of like where I noticed you and all your plays that you're always posting on Twitter and stuff.
mm,
So I was just curious to see your thoughts behind how you deal with small caps. With me, I've been mostly focused on the long side, just like momentum plays with them. They've been
mm,
working out pretty well.
mm-hmm,
But after I've taken a few shorts over the last 2 weeks, and
mm-hmm,
especially taking that short on MVIS, was it Tuesday or Wednesday or something,
mm. Yes.
where it just like tanked down under to like $1.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just pretty much got me hooked. So I'm curious to see how you deal with them, yeah, and your
uh,
thought process.
okay. Perfect. Perfect. So you've been trading for a year. Just a quick recap. And
Yeah.
what would you say? And you were a big cap, then you transitioned to small cap and a momentum. Now a bit of an exploration into shorts. And are you
Yeah.
on a demo, or are you still on a live, or are you
I'm
live?
on a live account.
Live
Yeah, live
account.
account.
What
I
would
was
you?
with
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. I was with Trade Zero, but now I don't know. I just had a bunch of issues with them, so I've gone
So,
over to Lightspeed.
oh, okay, yeah, the borrows. I heard Lightspeed borrows are decent, but in my opinion, well, you can tell me about it. But from my experience, you need to have vision clearing firm, like velocity, etc., just to get the borrows
Hmm.
for all small cap. So, what
Yep.
would you say is the top two issues that you have?
So I think the top two issues I have in just general trading
Mm-hmm.
is not thinking of the big picture play. Instead of, you know, covering our position or selling at like defined levels and looking for a big move, I
Mm-hmm.
might generally just play for like 50 or 60 cents, just scalping when there's a big picture play there. I think a good example of this was in terms of small caps, APDN the other day. I
Mm-hmm.
played the
Okay.
rejection from 12. I pretty much got out for 50 cents when clearly we were seeing some weakness. We had a big move down to like $9 or $8, and I missed
Mm-hmm.
out on that. Um, and that also happens a lot with big, large caps. Twilio is a good example. The last few days, I only got like 1 or 2 points when it had like a 20-point move. And I think to deal with this, the
Mm-hmm.
best thing for me was reducing my size. So I tried that on Friday,
Mm-hmm.
and right then and there, I caught a Tesla move from like 796 ish all the way up to like 815. Whereas previously, I would probably just sell like as soon as we broke over 800, 5 points.
Mm.
So I think that's my main issue is thinking of the big picture play in terms of just scalping for a few cents or a dollar.
Well, um, so I personally love the guys at SMB. I know a few guys that trade there.
Hmm.
Um, I talk to some of them often, and more than that, I am a huge, huge fanboy, whatever you want to call it, of Brett Steinberg. Hopefully, I'm
Yeah,
saying his name right.
yeah, he's
So
really cool.
I am like, I'm low key jealous that you're gonna be in his presence and you're gonna be getting his guidance. So if I'm not mistaken, more than likely what he will say, what you're interpreting to be a mistake may not be a mistake. It may be something that your strength is. Do you utilize Trader View?
Yep.
Okay. What is your average hold and for winning and losing? Do you know
I
what
think I
comes
was looking at it yesterday. For this week, my average hold for winning was
for the past 2
my
months?
stats are. Oh yes, the problem is it's a bit messed up because
You're fluctuating. Yes.
my I don't know, the way trade zeros are reporting my trades, it would just mess everything up. But I think better, more accurate stats would be for this week
Okay, sure. Go
because
for
I've
it.
probably updated them.
Okay.
Let me just double check, but I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure my average winning trade was about 4 minutes or something, and
Okay.
my average losing trade was about 30 seconds. So pretty
Okay.
quick trades.
Okay. Now give me the stats for the past. You've been trading for a year for the past 5 months. Just give it to me. I want to see what it's like.
Uh, in terms of on trader view, like a picture,
You want to send a picture? You
or
want to
just
tell me the stats?
mentally.
You know what? Send me a picture. That would help me a lot if
I
you're cool
don't.
with it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't have the stats back there. I had to reset everything pretty much. And
Oh,
another
you
problem was
reset
that,
everything.
yeah, and I had all the pictures, all my pictures of my stats are on my
What is?
computer, which is at school,
Okay, so what would
and
you
I didn't
say?
upload them.
What would you say your average hold period was for the past 5 months? Rough
It's
number.
gone up. I would say like 5 months ago was probably, I would say 2 minutes and a half, honestly, really quick.
Your average hold was two and
Uh,
a half minutes.
yeah, yeah, two and
Okay.
a half minutes.
Okay. So you came. The first thing you wanted to talk about. The one of the issue was how well my perspective on the small cap was what I how I look at it or what I think about it. And the other
Yeah,
aspect that you kind of mentioned, I don't know if you think it's an issue or not, is you wanted to hold for a longer period of time.
yeah.
Okay. So this is, of course, you are like a, I'm sorry to say this, but as young as they come, right? 1 year is a good
Hmm.
thing under your belt, but you still have a young weight, young in terms of trading years.
Yeah,
And sometimes we have to focus on what our strength is. So from what you told me, uh, and from my experience, I have a strong gutsy feeling that you perform better as a quick trader, and there's nothing wrong with it. A lot of people on Twitter are, say it bluntly, they're very idiotic, judgmental. They look down upon scalping.
yeah,
I am a fundamental long term or like a bit longer term, but that doesn't mean crap. The only thing that it is what our strength is. So we can go over some parameters, how you can fluctuate, but the reality is you have to match your personality, your style with what you're good at.
yeah,
And it's it's okay to go ahead and explore. It's okay to like, hey, I want to hold positions for longer, etc. But as Brett would say it, it's better to focus on your strength. Maybe perhaps make your entries sharper and have like if you're the type of person like my average hold time I believe is like 4 to 6 hours in a day trade, and I have other positions that I hold for 2 3 days. Whereas
yeah,
I have tried scalping and I get my ass kicked all the freaking time. Whereas I have other friends and their profit factor is high and like my friends are like alhamdulillah we're all like profitable traders and they make good money. And I look at the cost because one of the analysis that I was doing for myself was I was trying to figure out how can I reduce my fixed cost, which is my locate fees and overnight fees, and I can't. I was stuck at like the best I could do is 30 to 35%. And then the other guys that are scalpers, they to them it's like I think he said 8 to 15 to 20%. Some of them said 8%. The other, so of course we can go over it, but my high recommendation is to focus on what you're good at. And from what I have heard and from my 12 years of experience, you are if you're a profitable trader and you're quick in and play that momentum and that's where your strength is, focus on that. Uh,
yeah.
but go ahead and ask me. You want to continue on this, or we can talk about the longer, how you hold longer, or we can talk about some other fluctuation. Whatever you prefer. Whatever it's your floor. Whatever you want to
Yeah.
talk about, I'm happy to talk about.
Yeah, those are some good points. Thank you for that. Yeah, I think we could just look at MGNX. I know you traded it, and I'd like to hear your opinions.
Oh, MGNX, it was a non-niche play, but yeah, we can go over it. Actually, if you don't
Uh,
mind, I do want to give you some tips because you know what? If you originally came in with a mindset, how do you increase it?
yeah,
Um, it's something that alhamdulillah, I'm good at, but it's something that I can improve upon. But
yeah,
that is my strength. Like my strength, I kind of suck at day trading. To be honest with you, I want to move away from day trading as much as possible. And that is because with the research that I do, like putting ego to the side, when I've looked at like 2, 3 years of record, my thesis on a play with me playing idiotic plays, that included is 93%, but which without a stop loss, right? So my
mm,
theory, my focus, my strength is having a bigger picture play on something, doing the proper research, looking into the company. So that as you look at the SEC filings where my edge is, and then I'm also trying to add a bit more and trying to look at the evaluation of the company, trying to go next step further. And so, and then also one of the benefits of this is I have to force myself to move it longer. So what I do, and this is literally, like I said, I'm a big Brett fan, and he says that focus on your strength and then the things that you cannot control, put it out of your control. So one really, really cool nugget that I have, if you were to ever transition to a bigger time frame holder or a bigger thing, is I well, ideally, so that you gotta correct your exits, right? So when I exit, I have two exits, either a capitulation, or if I'm short, a higher low, right? Or if and then tape fluctuation characteristics. So those are three things that I look for. One of them is capitulation, cover into the strength. The other one would be um, a higher low if I'm short. And the third one is like if I see a change in character tape, which is a bit more ambiguous. So that's
yep,
my normal routine. And the way how I enhance my trading, how I hold longer, is I freaking remove myself from the equation. So sometimes I don't know how long you've been following me for, but sometimes you could see I have an account where I'm an active trader and I have same positions in multiple accounts. In one account, I utilize a trail stop.
yep,
This way, I am not involved in it at all. And to be honest with you, there were like I have caught $100 per share moves a few times. I don't always post all of my positions. I try to post lately. I'm trying to post on whenever I'm trying to make it a platform where I can express myself. So sometimes when I take a loss or something, I learn something new, I try to post that. And I'm also not trying to post just winners. I try to post losers more often than winners. So that's one metric that has personally changed me in the past few years. I was just like, what the heck? With that, and I guess options is the other thing. Because like if I have a long-term thesis, I hold on to the options. So I was able to cut. I think I caught UVXY and Tesla. I remember for 100 points plus a few times, and I think there was another one, either Shop or Roku for really 50, 60, 80 something points, and that had nothing to do with me. With my day trade account, I messed up. So the solution would be if you're trying to hold for a longer period of time, increase your time frame. So more than likely, if you are holding for 2, 3 minutes, you're on a 1 minute time frame. I bet, or 2 minutes, right?
yeah, yeah,
Which
yeah.
one?
One, always
One
one
minute,
for me.
exactly. So that's one of your problems. If you're trying to become hold your position for a longer period of time, you have to. If you're trying to experiment with it, go with experiment, but you gotta be on a 5 minute and a 15 minute or something. 5 minute, 15 minute, an hour. Usually I'm on a 5 minute and an hour. I love to take positions with trend on an hour. Um, so you have to do that, in my opinion, to hold for a longer period of time. If you're like trying to enhance here. And the other thing that would be a good tool in your belt is trail stop.
Yep.
Okay,
I haven't messed around with trail stops yet, but yeah, that's something I want to look into trying out now that
I'll
I have the option to.
I will give you a cool little nugget that took me a while to figure out. So how I utilize my trail stop is You're familiar with what an ATR is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the way I do my trail stop is I try to find, I am on a 5 minute time frame, right? So the range of the ATR, I look at what a 5 minute ATR is, and then I compare with what a chart is. An example, I'll send you a screenshot in the Discord right now. Are you able to see that if I send you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so this is what I'm looking at. This is what is showing in my screen. Uh, Testing. Okay, so in this here, if I hypothetically, in theory, if I think I got lucky in here. I think I had a 2670 something short entry. Um, and what I would do is I would look at what I have in TOS. You can script something that just shows you the ATR. So I match the ATR with the previous high. So if this ATR here, theoretically, if it was $1 and it's like an adjustment period, but what I do is I go a bit higher than 5 minute and my entry. So let's say if the price was 24.30 and the high, like the resistance is at 25.53, and so it's like a 70 cent ATR theoretically, and my stop where I want to stop out is like $1. I try to put it above the 5 minute and I just let that roll. And the reason for that is it really gives you the best from my experimenting with so many things. It's like it won't give you top tick or bottom tick, of course, because you're using ATR, but it would really help you stay a lot longer than it would, because anytime the ATR kind of fluctuates bigger than 5 minutes, or for me, I try to use 7.5, and I calculate in my head and I combine it with resistance, then you kind of almost always you get something like, oh, the trend will change after that more portion than not.
Yep.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So, any questions? Any comments?
So just to recap, you're putting the trailing stop above the high of that 5 minute. So in this case, 25.30, like you mentioned.
Uh, 20. So it would be like 25. If 25.55 is the resistance,
Mm-hmm.
and what I would look at is I would look at what a 5 minute ATR is, and let's say if that 5 minute ATR was a dollar,
Mm-hmm.
I would try to match it. So it'd be I try not to put the ATR less than 5 minutes. That's what I'm kind of
Gotcha.
trying to say.
Yeah.
And the other
Yeah.
thing is, which is a bit of a quote unquote art, whatever you want to call it, is I try to put it above a resistance. I don't want to just do, it's not just, trading is not just black and white, right? So I try to add more than 5 minute. My ATR has to be bigger than 5 minutes, 7.5. And then I try to also make sure, because if I put an ATR, let's say I put an ATR of, like, the ATR in here is 70 cents and my entry is at 26 and the stock price is at like it's wicking at the bottom 21.30, right? And I put a dollar in, it will it can potentially just hit it and stop me out and it'll wash. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay, perfect.
This now if it's funny that you ask you a question about how you like to short some of these tickers. Are you the type of guy that likes to short on the way up and scale into a position, or you prefer to add when it's
Oh,
going your way already?
that's a good question. Um, when I'm not being an idiot, I try to short on the backside.
Yeah.
There's a guy that I hope you have heard of, Phil Ozark. Have you heard of him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a fan of him as well. He says this is just a school of thought. It doesn't. Some people it works. People that have position, if you're putting a really big position, in my opinion, compared to the volume traded, then sometimes you kind of have to put a bit at the start. Or some people personality is like Nate from Investors Underground and some of the other guys. And I used to have the personality that I'll put some at the front, like maybe 1/10, just so I can feel it. But what I found over tracking my statistics, tracking my emotions every day, because I've been trading for a long period of time, but I still recap, is I tend to screw up. My biggest weakness is my emotions. So I used to do that. Now I have transitioned, and I hope the number of hair in my head is it's less white. It's decreased. The the incremental increase has decreased. So I try to be on the backside. I have a rule where I don't add to losers. I don't. And Phil Ozark says it really, really best. He says, look, if you think your entry is higher, just cut the freaking first one. Just cut the first one and then add it higher, right? Like, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. You can take so many paper cuts as long as your risk management is on point. All it takes is that one time where you think you're 1/10 or you are 1/10 or 1/3 and it goes against you. That one time you make that misjudgment, not the right judgment call, it messes up. So I try to be on the backside. Will I make an exception? Yeah, but honestly, it's probably like one in 100 times I'll make an exception. I'm just a lot more comfortable. I have something else that has helped me is I went through a phase where I was trying to how to size up, and now I have gone, alhamdulillah, thank God, I've gotten pretty crazy, and I love that side of me in the sense that I get very aggressive. Like some people say tier two, tier three. So that kind of mindset, like once I know I'm in the backside, I can just add. I can add like crazy amount. I can push my boundaries, and then I also have a system where it's like if it hits break even, I'm just gonna cut like 8/10 or 3/4 break even.
Yep.
So that's where my strength is, and no, that's where my weakness is. My weakness relies on me and my emotions being an issue. So I try to remove that.
Yeah, I think that's quite similar to my style in terms of trading. I don't like to add before I'm already in the money.
Mm,
Like for example, I'm not dip buying never worked for me because I don't like adding and just scaling into position.
mm.
Whereas if I play a momentum trade and then add on more confirmation, that always works a lot better for me.
Yeah, yeah,
So
100%.
that's something if I do try some mock-ups, I think adding on the backside would be definitely better.
Yeah.
I just have one more question so I don't take up any more of your time.
Ask away, no
But
problem. Ask.
what are some of your thoughts on sizing up whilst on a hot streak and vice versa? Vice versa, sorry, in terms of on a day-to-day basis.
What is my thought process on sizing up
Yeah. So for example,
on a hot streak?
you take a few trades. You say your first few are green. So instead of risking what you usually do, you put a bit more risk on your next trade.
Uh, I'm probably get get a lot of hate for this, and I think that's why I'm not a fan of of kind of like prop trading or something. I do have a max daily lockout. I tell my broker if it hits this, liquidate my position. Um,
Hmm.
I, from my experience, never let P&L dictate it. I would never be like it is, in my opinion, and I personally feel very strongly about this. Never ever ever be like, oh, I'm up too much, down too much, I'm gonna do something different. It should always be
Yeah.
about the setup, always.
Systematic. Yeah.
So your question was, what is my thought process if I'm up for the day quite a bit, I'm gonna put on more risk.
Yeah.
Um, I think that thought process is unhealthy.
Yeah.
Unhealthy because the morning you're gonna somehow have to adjust your risk in the morning. You have to have a cushion, and then you have to go with a mindset. Okay, now I have to make money before I put on a bigger position, a bigger risk dollar position.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't see that working out in the long run. Is it necessary for prop trading firm? I don't think so, but maybe you'll get different opinions on it. For me, it's like, is the setup there? You can always risk break even, right? Like momentum trading, or I don't know if I'm there hasn't been any recent plays that you can add to a winner with big range, but you can always add to a winner and risk break even rather than P&L based. If
Yeah,
that does that make sense?
yeah, that's something I like to do.
Yeah,
I
I'm very anti P&L trading. Very anti.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there on that point. Right, well, I don't. If you have any questions for me as well, don't know if you do. Don't want to take up any more of your time because I know
No,
you're
it's
obviously
okay.
busy.
No, this makes me happy because I've struggled a lot when I traded, and I love trading, and it's very interesting.
Yeah,
Brett says that you got to have a different passion, which is very cool because that's how you distance your emotions.
yeah,
Um, do I have any questions for you? What you had questions in regards to um, how I play the small cap. Did you have anything in
yeah.
that?
What are some of the things that you look for? Like very basic things.
So most of my edge comes from filings, understanding the filings, SEC. You know BAM SEC, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So I look through the capital structure, um, and I try to. This one comes with a bit of a experience. I try to put a thought process together. I try to think. So in my opinion, trading there's multiple levels to it. Some level is um, one level is like who's hurting, right? So when you take a position, you go who's hurting. Is it the longs or is it the shorts? And you kind of take a position on that. And I think another level in the SEC filing is you try to put yourself in the perspective of the manipulator. So how I play it is I look at the filing, I look at the capital structure, I look if it's recent, I look at the trade, how many volume it's traded, what the projected volume gonna be, and then I try to compare them what they're going to do. Are they going to potentially uh, take out stops or get out? Is the morning flow, is there so much overhead that they're going to use the morning liquidity to dump? And if they are, you know what, I'm just joining them. I'm just using hotkeys getting in. So uh, it's been filings, but lately I am transitioning and I am still learning and growing more about evaluation and uh, seeing the bigger picture of the companies. Like this is just for some like longer term shorts. It's like, okay, what did the CEO do? What is the storyline? Where do they buy the product? Where is it coming from? Who is it? If they're buying from this financing company, is this financing company, is the director here matches the directors with their, like, sometimes they do shady deals where it's like the people that are at the board will open up a different company and they're selling them the quote unquote the overhead. And then you're like, oh, okay, it's at that price. Oh, I wonder what will happen. Something like that. Like they'll give them really good price, and then the stock gets pumped higher, and then it's like, okay, well, so that's how I play it. If it's not
gotcha.
clear, feel free to ask.
No, yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's all from me. It was very helpful actually. A lot
Okay.
of stuff to light.
I wish you the best. When are you going to SMB?
It's formally it starts in June, but they kind of started rolling out stuff already this week. So
Oh.
yeah,
And then you said you're doing it online,
yeah, it's gonna be
remote.
remote until at least they know they can go back to the office because they're all remote as well.
And are you gonna go to New York when it goes non-remote?
I think I would, but probably only for like a week or two before I go back to school.
So how
They
does that
still don't know.
how does that
Sorry.
work? So you got an internship there. You're gonna
Mm-hmm.
be either playing with a demo account or a small live account
Yeah.
only for a few months, or
Yeah. So you pretty much you attend all the meetings. With they have the developing guys, so their main focus is on them.
Mm.
But you're expected to contribute as well, and always make sure you're doing your reviews, your journals, you're keeping up to date with them, showing your interests, and if they like it, then you could go through this internship. Then they would then offer you the next step, which would be the senior internship. Um,
But how long are you gonna
and
do that for? How long are you gonna do the before the senior junior internship?
right, so before the junior internship is pretty much just the summer internship, which is it's kind of starting now, but formally starts in June,
Till
and it goes
September.
up to the end of August.
Okay.
Um, and in terms of being at the office, where we can go there, after it's over and spend a couple weeks there. But
Okay.
I think they look like it's not going to open back until like August. So then, if that's the case, I would just go right before I go back to school. Just go for a couple weeks, so I
Okay.
can have some in-office experience as well.
If you see Brett, tell him I'm a big fan. I admire
I
that guy
will.
from far away. So yeah,
Yeah, will
you're a
do.
lucky guy, and I think props to you for having the passion and drive for this. And if you have any other questions or anything, always I'm always happy to help. It's uh
Awesome.
it's a fun journey, not an easy one, but if we can make a
Yeah,
difference, it's cool. All right, brother.
awesome. Thank you so much.
No worries. Have a wonderful day.
You
Take care.
too.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, amigos, if you liked it so far, hopefully this recorded. If you liked it, click like, subscribe, share it with somebody who it may benefit. Have a wonderful day. And I'm probably going to be posting a few more tomorrow, day after, so stay tuned. Click subscribe and click the bell notification icon if you want to, if you think this stuff benefits you. But I'm gonna be rolling like 3 4 back to back, so back to back in either every day or every 2 days or something like that. So take care. Bye.